Fastpacking is a form of backpacking that has been a game changer for me. It involves moving quickly and efficiently through the backcountry, sometimes even running. It involves specialized and lightweight gear in order to not sacrifice warmth, comfort, and shelter, which is why I've put together this Fastpacking gear list that covers everything that you need in order to start Fastpacking easily. Starting with the pack, there's 3 things I think you need to pay attention to when looking for a Fastpacking pack. The first one being capacity, the second being access to items, and the third being how it carries and whether it bounces if you're running with it. For capacity, you probably want something with an internal capacity of 20 to 30 liters. So that doesn't include all the external pockets. That's gonna allow you to bring enough gear in order to be safe and comfortable on your trips, but not be too much gear. Something you wanna minimize is how much gear you're bringing and how much it weighs, because the more gear you have and the heavier it is, the more your pack's gonna bounce and be uncomfortable while you're running with it. And while you don't need to necessarily be running with your pack, you are gonna be moving quickly if you're fast packing and you want something that's gonna be light and nimble. Most fast packing packs are gonna have running vest style shoulder straps. So you're gonna have spots for soft flasks. Soft flasks are nice because it's really easy to just bite the nozzle, take a drink of water without having to take it off the pack and off the shoulder strap. And then there's usually a lot of other pockets for snacks in the sides here, as well as to put garbage away or grab things like sunscreen or lip chap. I like to have one soft flask with a filter in it. So I have the Be-Free filter on this one here. Solomon soft flasks can also come with a filter. And then one soft flask with no filter so that I can put things like electrolyte powder or some sort of supplement inside there and then shake it up and then drink that while I'm running. The third thing is how the pack carries and whether it bounces when you're running with it. Running vest shoulder straps are gonna help with that a lot because the pack is gonna kind of hug you a little bit more, but definitely test the pack out, take it out for a run and see how it feels on you because everyone's body shape is different and you really want to be dialing that in with a fast packing pack. There's 2 fast packing packs that I've tried out that I've really enjoyed. The Outdoor Vitals Skyline 30 that I have right here, and then the Gossamer Gear Fast Kumo 36. Both of them have their pros and cons with them, so look at the features and pick one that's going to be right for you. Tents are an important consideration for fast packing because they're going to be your shelter while you're out on trail, but they're also going to be one of your largest sources of weight and bulk. For me, I like to choose a tent that's going to be as minimal as possible for the conditions that I'm going out in. So if I know that it's not going to be rainy, not going to be buggy, then I'll bring something like this, the Z-Packs Hexamid Pocket Tarp. You can see that's a very small tent. It weighs under 200 grams and it's basically just a tarp that goes over top of you. It provides more shelter than you'd think and is really nice if you don't need a ground floor or any sort of netting. If I know that there's gonna be bugs or if the weather's gonna be a little bit more brutal, then I'll bring something like the Z-Packs Plex Solo, which comes with a floor as well as netting in order to keep bugs out. But you can see the difference in size between these 2 tents, as well as the Z-Packs Plex Solo weighs about twice as much as the Pocket Tarp. For a sleep system, you want something that's gonna be as compact and lightweight as possible, but it's gonna keep you warm out on trail. For my top insulation, I like to use a quilt because it's gonna hit those 2 points for weight as well as compactability. This is a down quilt from Enlightened Equipment that uses 950 power fill down and 7 denier shell fabric, which is basically the materials that are gonna get you as lightweight and as compact as possible. I like 20 and 30 degree quilts because I find that they're a very versatile temperature range. They allow you to get up to warmer temperatures as well as down to those colder temperatures as well. So pick something that's gonna be right for the conditions that you're going out in, just like with the sleeping pad. I have here the Big Agnes Zoom UL, which is a very small, lightweight sleeping pad, but it's not gonna work very well in cold temperatures. In those kind of conditions, I'm bringing something like the Thermarest X-Lite. And while I normally like to sleep on 25-inch wide sleeping pads, when I'm going on fast packing trips, I'm really prioritizing the compactness and weight of my gear. So I'm usually bringing something in that 20-inch range, which is why when I can, I bring the Zoom UL because it's a more comfortable sleeping pad, even at that 20-inch width compared to something like the X-Lite. I find electrolytes to be key when I'm doing a high exertion activity like fast packing. I sweat a lot even when it's cold out, and if I don't replenish my electrolytes, then I start feeling slow, crampy, and even a little lightheaded. Well, Element Electrolytes is sponsoring this video. I've been using them for over a year now without sponsorships, and there's 2 main reasons why. First of all, they have some of the most sodium per packet out of any electrolyte mix out there. It's about 3 or 4 times what their competitors have, which means I don't need to be using multiple packets in order to replenish my electrolytes, and it ends up being easier and less expensive. Second, they taste the best out of any electrolyte mix that I've tried out there. My personal favorite flavors are watermelon and citrus. They're delicious, and I recommend Element to basically anyone who needs to be replenishing their electrolytes. If you're sweating a lot, if you're doing a high exertion activity, then you should definitely be checking them out. You can get a free sample pack with purchase by using the link in the video description or by going to drinkelement.com/JustinOutdoors. I use a Smartwatch on basically all of my backpacking trips in order to navigate as well as track my stats as well as my progress. And for fast packing, I think it's even more important for basically those two reasons. With fast packing, you're moving a lot quicker and it's much more of a pain to take out your phone, scroll around and try and navigate. It's a lot easier to just look at your watch and take a look at where you are on the trail and where you need to be going. A lot of trails will allow you to put a route on the watch just using kind of breadcrumb trails. So you just kind of have a line to follow. You see where you are and then where the line is. But with watches like the Garmin Enduro 2, you have a full topo map on there and you have a touch screen so you can kind of zoom around and take a look at where there's rivers, where there's other trails. It's super useful, especially when you're coming up to a fork. You can see which direction you're supposed to be going and then which direction the other trails go. The second aspect has to do with things like pacing. So I always make sure that my heart rate is low enough so I'm not burning myself out and that my pace is high enough in order to move as efficiently as possible. So it's always balancing those two things, and a smartwatch allows me to keep track of both of those. An important item for basically any time I'm out in the backcountry is an SOS satellite communication device. But on fast packing trips, you are moving quicker and there's, I think, a little bit higher chance of maybe slipping, tripping, hurting an ankle, breaking a leg, something like that. And in those kind of scenarios, you want to be able to send an SOS and call for help. I've been really liking the Motorola Defy satellite device because it's super minimal. It only weighs 69 grams. It's very slim, works really well on a fast packing trip, and doesn't have all the kind of bells and whistles that something like a Garmin InReach Messenger has, but I'm not necessarily needing that because I'm moving a bit quicker. I'm not sending as many messages, and all I really want is that SOS feature. I've been using the Motorola Defy for a few months now and haven't had any problems with it. So it's getting to the point where I can now say that I recommend this device, especially if you're looking for something lightweight, no frills, and very affordable. The plans on this are down to $5 a month, which is crazy. Let's go over my ditties because I still bring small things like toothpaste and toothbrush when out on fast packing trips. I also have a flashlight. So this is just the Robivon A5. It's very small, lightweight. I don't really need something crazy when I'm fast packing. Sometimes I may be going into the kind of darker time of the day, and this is still gonna work fine compared to a headlamp. It has a lot of lumens and it's gonna last a long time. Something that I bring as a little luxury item for me on fast packing trips is a small pump. This is the FlexTail Zero Pump, very lightweight, and just makes it so that when I get to camp and I'm kind of tired, out of breath, I can just use this to inflate my sleeping pad. I'm not having to use my precious breath that I've been expelling all day while running and moving efficiently through the backcountry. Choosing the right footwear and socks for a fast packing trip is gonna be very important because you're moving a lot more, so there's gonna be a lot more friction between your foot and the shoe. As well, you're gonna be sweating a lot more, which is gonna open you up to blisters. For footwear, I think trail runners are basically the best choice for you because they're made for running, and make sure you're getting something that's gonna fit your foot and not have any kind of pressure points, especially around your toes. You want something that's gonna have a wide enough toe box for you, but not too wide in order to introduce slop, because you are gonna be kind of running sometimes, running downhill, and you wanna have a nice snug fit in order to not be kind of sloppy in your shoe and potentially slipping and falling. I think socks are as important as the shoe, and you want something that's gonna prevent blisters and dry quickly. So something that's not super loose on your foot, something that's nice and snug, as well as not using something that is gonna hold onto a lot of moisture like cotton or merino wool. I don't think merino wool is a good choice for fast packing because it's gonna just get wet and stay wet. Socks that use nylon and polyester blends are gonna dry a lot quicker. I also like toe socks because they keep my toes separate, and when I'm running and I'm sweaty, I do get blisters between my toes if I'm not using toe socks. For your other clothing, like your shirt and what you're wearing on your legs, it's really gonna depend on your personal comfort and what you like to use when you're running. When it's very warm out, I'll wear shorts and then I'll wear a light shirt like something like an Outdoor Research Echo. But if it's a little bit colder out, then I really like the Alpaca 80/20 sun hoodie because it's a little bit warmer, but still does well in very warm temperatures, keeps you nice and cool. But it's also nice and comfy for once you get to camp and you're going to sleep. It's something that doubles as a sleep shirt as well as a running shirt very easily. A rain jacket is super important. I just bring this super lightweight one from Rab. It's the Rab Phantom. It's just a pullover, very small, very compact, but it does keep you dry. I've used it out when it's raining and it did keep the rain off of me. It's not gonna be the best choice if you're gonna be in a torrential downpour all the time, but I don't really like to be going fast packing in those kind of conditions anyways, so I have this more as a just in case item. If you're going out in warm temperatures, insulation is not a big deal, but if you're going out maybe in shoulder season, which is one of my favorite times to do fast packing trips because when you're running, you're gonna be a lot more comfortable. Once you get to camp, you're gonna need some insulation. So I like to bring a down puffy. Like I said, with the quilt, down is gonna be your most compressible option. Something cheap like this Decathlon one is a great choice, or you can spend 2, 3, 4 times as much for something a little bit more ultralight. I don't bring camp socks, but I do bring these pair of booties, synthetic booties from Enlightened Equipment. They're Torrid booties. They keep my feet nice and toasty warm and are very lightweight and compact. And then I'll also bring a buff in order to keep my face insulated or my head. Buffs are very versatile. You can use them as a toque. You can use them, pull them down over your entire face, use them as a head tube. And they're just a good item to have for fast packing, where you kind of want to be getting the most out of every piece of gear that you brought with you. You still want to be practicing leave no trace when you're going poop. So I still have a poop kit. I don't bring a dedicated bidet, but I still do bring a trowel and then soap. So I'll just use my bottle without a filter in order to do a backcountry bidet system after digging a hole with a trowel, and then I'll use soap in order to wipe off after. So this is just my very simple, easy system, and you don't even really need this bag. If you're fast packing, just throw it into one of your pockets. For food on fast packing trips, there's kind of two approaches that you can take. You can go the no cook option, where you're just kind of eating bars and no cook food. I did this on a recent trip and it turned out really well. I just brought some crackers, some freeze-dried cheese, as well as some jerky, and it was delicious. It was a great little dinner. And then you could have cold oatmeal for breakfast or bars. But if you do want to go with a cook option for your fast pack, you can do that. It's just gonna be a little bit more weight and a little bit more bulk to your kit. But I like this system if I'm gonna be doing that. I've used it out on a fast packing trip. It's a 550 Toaks titanium pot, and then it basically has everything you need. It has a canister in here, as well as a little BRS stove, and then a little pot gripper. And then there's a lighter on the top side of this little cap here. A little cook system like this doesn't add a ton of weight, but every little bit counts when fast packing. So if you are able to leave this at home, then I would do that. But if you do want that extra little bit of comfort, maybe you're not going a huge distance, then this is a good option for you. And I'll have links to all the gear that I talked about today. I try to keep it more high level, not getting into specific gear items for this video, but you can check out the video description where I'll list off everything that I talked about. Winter has now hit some parts of the Canadian Rockies, and if you want to see my first winter camping trip of the year, go check out that video right up there. I'm testing a bunch of new gear on this trip and kind of determining what I'm going to use moving forward for my winter camping trips.